Recording in progress.
Oh. Okay, got it. All right. I'm calling to order at 6:31. And first, I might as well do this first. We can introduce Heather O'Rourke, who's volunteered to be the second alternate.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yeah, so Heather, so you know, Dan Bennett is an alternate.
Okay.
And we don't do a lot of differentiating. I mean, when we meet in person, if everybody can fit at the table, we fit at the table, where sometimes alternates take a seat off stage.
Yep.
And they're needed. But, oh, there's Brian, there's the third Brian. But yeah, in the event that somebody is missing, you guys automatically fill in the regular 5.
Yep.
As far as voting and stuff. All right, so let's start with approval of the minutes from October.
Brian, can I
Yeah,
interrupt you
motion?
one moment?
Yeah,
Heather, can you send me your email so I have it?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
yeah, I'll update our contact sheet and send that out to everybody. I just want to make sure, you know, once Heather met us, she might say, what am I getting into? I didn't want
I know.
Come on, we're a merry bunch.
to, wow.
Well, I'm
Thanks.
I'm chair of the Teague board, and there's 22 of us, so I know about large meetings, board meetings, so.
Well, hopefully ours is more fun. I mean, I like smaller ones because we can see you, we can hear you. There's a lot less arguing. Yeah, okay. Get on to the October minutes. Do we have a motion to accept the October minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second. I just have one correction.
Okay,
It's very minor. In the old business, under 6, it says D Santos. I think it was supposed to be B Santos.
oh, yeah, Brian, I missed that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're changing your name to David so that we don't have this confusion.
It's no problem. I might do better as a David. Who the hell knows?
Or go by middle names.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, all right, do we have all in favor of accepting minutes with that one correction?
Yes, Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, minutes are good. Next up, Joe, treasurer?
Hear me?
We can now. We got you.
Okay, it took me a while to log in. I'm sorry, because I couldn't find the phone number because I had to scroll through 1 million phone numbers to find the local phone number. Maybe nobody else had trouble, but I did. Anyway, $19,366.12.
I noticed on that, yeah, we did. I noticed on that sheet that there was a deduction made to train wreck park expenses. I've got to go back and look through my return sheets on the POs that I sign, because I feel like I would have assigned that to one of the grant funds. So I just need to figure out what that expense was and if it should have been coded someplace else. I mean, it's, you know, $750. It's a piffling amount in terms of the overall budget, but I noticed that it was drawn out of an account number that didn't have it, any designated funds. I think I might know why it is, but I just need to check with Orla.
Yeah, and I didn't notice a deduction for the business of the year plaque. That got submitted, right, Jeff?
Yeah, but probably not until, I don't know when this was, when they do their updating. I mean, I brought that to the town hall maybe 3 weeks ago. I put it in the box outside.
I'm
So,
pretty sure that I got the return slip on that PO.
Yeah, okay, because I mean, that's the only expense we had. It was minor. Well, maybe that's under printing
Yeah.
and publications. No, $30.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, they sent me, they asked me, it was probably a couple of weeks ago, if the check was coming. And I told her that it did get submitted. They're okay. They know that sometimes things take a minute.
Oh, yeah, they do. And it didn't get submitted until a couple of weeks ago.
It's about when she asked about it.
Probably, yeah, and I probably did it right after that.
Okay. As far as the chairman, we had our ribbon cutting at Abby's Quiet Corner Gift Shed, which went pretty well. We have another ribbon cutting. Of course, this is under business too, but we have another one Friday. The big news, I talked to you last time about working with the high school, and we did kick off Mike Joyce's Pathways speaker series, where he's going to have business people come in and talk to the kids. I see it as a good opportunity to tie the high school in with our local businesses, working with the TBA, and people could get summer help, kids can get some mentoring opportunities, try to keep some of the people in town. So the next one is December 7th, and Dan, they wanted somebody in the construction business, so I connected Dan with Mike Joyce. So we'll see how that goes. Update on businesses in Thompson. Piccolo Pomodoro has opened since the last time we met. I did go down and talk to him. He wants 3 signs, directional signs. So I have to go back and get a check. We're charging him $75 a piece for the signs. He doesn't want 2-sided. He just wants 3 single-sided signs. New business, which happens to be Heather's, is Simplify Life Services, LLC. It's a lifestyle management company. I sent you the adoption of trade name certificate for that. What we do with these, Heather, we go over them, anything that's come up in the last month, and then I also bring them to the Business Association, which is the week before our meeting.
Yep.
So second week in December, I bring these to the Business Association, so they know what's going on with new businesses. They may contact you and see if you're interested in the TBA.
Yeah.
And as far as the tie-in, Bennett here is now recently elected president of the TBA. So if you want to know more about it, you can talk to Dan and or me. Let's see, we have another ribbon cutting this Friday. It's Chris Nelson and System Solutions. He's in the office right next to the old Our Father's table at 1020 Riverside.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything else for businesses?
I know that Fit for You has opened in the Father's Table building, and talked to her at the Turkey Trot, and she hasn't gotten around to registering yet as far as being an in-town business.
Oh, I thought they had to do that first.
I don't know.
I
She had
did.
something. She didn't think she hasn't connected with TBA yet either. So
Well, yeah,
Rachel
that I can
Adams.
understand, but as far as registering your business, you're supposed to do that before you actually open a business.
She might have gone through town hall with that. Yeah.
I assume that they did. Okay.
Well, because she had
As that was
she had,
open.
yeah, she had that business in town before too,
Yeah.
so she would know.
Oh, yeah, so maybe maybe it's not a big deal. She's already registered and just has to change address.
Yep.
Okay, and nothing else for businesses? Okay, we're up to citizens' comments and we don't have any citizens, so we're good. Old business. As you see, Heather had sent me an update of I'm looking for the sheet. Our Economic Development Commission, as far as when our term ends. So as I put in, I sent you the sheet. As of December of this year, Joanne, Brian Lafredo, and Charlie have to renew. Brian Lafredo, I assume you have to because you took John's term.
Right.
And as far as Santos and me, we're good till 2022. So that's something where you have to get to the town hall and just, if you plan to stay on, which would be nice. So that's that for that. And like I said, I'll update our contact information in Heather O'Rourke. And she fills, so our board is now full with the coming of Heather, which is first time in a long time, so that's good. I have meetings on here, but I assume we'll just do Zoom at least till the end of the year. New business. So Tara, do you think, and Heather, do you think we have to vote on this schedule? For the 2022 schedule?
Well, it can't hurt you to vote on it because you're here, so you may as well, but I don't actually think you have to. I think you just have to agree. That's why I think the last meeting was sufficient, but go ahead and
Alright,
vote.
Tara, it's my understanding from Renee that we do have to vote on it. It does have to be in the minutes that it's voted on.
Oh, interesting, because she just accepted the Mizrac one without a formal vote.
Yeah, because she made us do it for Recreation Committee, had to vote on it and all that.
Okay, well, then by all means vote, folks.
And I thank you, Heather, for, bringing this up. So I resent it to everybody. Just to refresh, it's the same time. It's the same day, third Wednesday of the month. And every month except December, since it's Christmas week next year. And we agreed not to have a meeting next December. So if I could have a motion to vote on that schedule.
I'll motion to accept the schedule. Just be aware, it just says we're meeting in Merrill Sweeney unless otherwise scheduled, which I'm assuming we're still going to do. So.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's still
if we ever get
Wednesday, December 21st. So I guess we'll just cancel it as we get closer to that. Is that?
Well, no, I when I sent it to you yesterday, I sent you the wrong one.
Oh, I'm
Today,
looking at an old one. Okay, very good.
that was my mistake. Today I sent the one that says no meeting in December.
Alrighty then I'll motion.
Right one that it's the one I actually sent to Renee, so we're good.
All right. I'll motion to accept that one.
Okay. How about a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so Heather will now have it in the minutes.
Was that Lafredo that did the second on that? I just couldn't hear.
Yes, yes, it is.
Thank you.
And Brian Santos, I forgot to put your suggestion into the agenda. So I figured we could bring it up now. at the suggestion of meeting with the other, well, with some businesses.
Yep.
So I think a good time right now under new business, and everybody that Brian sent out, I assume.
Yeah, I can get Heather on that list. I don't know if Heather was on that email. Sometimes I don't even know who I'm. I don't
Yeah,
think.
and I can forward it.
Yeah, I don't think she was, considering our Heather just asked for her Heather O'Rourke's email. So maybe we didn't have that. So that makes.
I have it set up so you can screen share I can't access my email on my laptop right now. So if you want to screen share that, since
Yeah, sure.
Heather O'Rourke may not have seen it, that might be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, sure.
All right, you want to do it, Brian?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, because I was gonna find it, but you can.
Yeah. All right. So let's just set the context here a little bit. So what was in, at least in my mind, is kind of just, it's written right here. Thompson EDC is seeking comments, questions, suggestions, and advice from our community leaders. EDC wants engagement in general community business connection in order to properly discuss and plan a viable, sensible economic marketing strategy that benefits not only local business, but also attracts a variety of new business and draws positive attention to local and surrounding residents. Other surrounding towns are developing strategies and executing on those strategies. And Thompson has many restaurants, recreation, agriculture, general service, et cetera. And we want to develop those strategies on how to market those offerings. Our EDC is interested in hearing from you, and we look forward to having the discussion. And so I came up with a list of questions. So again, I see towns like Putnam, they come up with a strategy on how to sell themselves. Woodstock does a variety of things. Webster does a variety of things. And I just feel like we need to engage our leaders in this area in order to come up with some sort of marketing strategy to pretty much draw people in and let people know who we are, right? It's kind of like one of the big questions is, do you know this about Thompson, right? Do you know about the West Dam? Do you know about our restaurants and things that we have to offer? And just educating people in the surrounding towns to kind of come see what we have to offer, right? So I thought about like the last Green Valley. We had them in years ago. And Joanne and Brian Yacino were around at that time when we were talking about utilizing them to kind of get our information out to their database of people, right? And we can invite them to the table as well. But I thought we would at least start with, I had suggested Anya, Milltown Grill, Thompson Service, and then the liquor store. And, of course, there was other people that were weighing in on who to invite to the table. And all of them are very viable options. And I think we should maybe invite a majority of them at different times, not all at once, like one meeting, and then we can have a few other people in the next meeting. But I really wanted everyone to think about who this kickoff group should be, right? And then here are the questions to kind of get things really humming. Like I asked, well, what sort of marketing do you utilize? Like, what is Anya's strategy to draw people into Thompson to come to their very fancy restaurant, right? What is their marketing strategy for, the Mason House that they're redoing? And, there's kind of a, kind of a retreat area, if you will, right? I would like to know about their marketing team, how regularly they meet, and just let the juices really flow, right? So I'm looking for people, maybe not in this particular call, at least get back to me on what do you think these questions, are these good questions? Do we want to add on to them? And in general, does this sound like a good idea? Because I feel like one of the first things that really jumps out at me is, the Planning and Zoning Commission that I'm a part of, and so isn't Tira Pengesic, we spent a significant amount of time rewriting our planning and zoning regulations that are much more marketable now. They are easy to follow, easy to read, and they're business driven. And also, with the community in mind as being an agricultural town, right? So farm stands, various other things. How do we properly market that? Because our old regulations were very cumbersome, limited, and just were not easy to follow. So it's kind of deterring people from not wanting to do business with us, at least in my opinion. So I think we've changed that, and I would like to be able to market that a little bit better. And then, of course, our website, right? Do these local businesses know our website? Do they understand what we're trying to accomplish? What can we do better, right? So I think there's a whole slew of information to really go through, and I think it would be a great thing to do. So I'll shut up now, let other people respond, but I think that's what I would like to do. So anyway, let me know what you think.
Yeah, this ties in, I mean, what you're saying with all the marketing and stuff, it ties in with the purpose of our branding.
Absolutely.
So, like you said, telling people, yes, we have the West Dam, we have canoeing, we have all the stuff that we do have.
Yeah, and I talked about a brochure, and I kind of talked about that before. This is not new information that you guys haven't seen before. This is what we were talking about, the brochure, and it kind of molded into an update of the website and having those boxes on that one particular page. So this hasn't left my mind, right? And I'll do a little bit more research on that and try to really just spearhead the thing. But I would like like Anya and Dan from Milltel to understand what we're trying to accomplish, right? And see what they have to say. And I've talked to Dan about this a few times when I go sit at the bar there and chit chat with him, and told him actually that this was coming his way. So he's well aware of it. But any other?
He may, I mean, he's cut back his cooking hours so he could make it. Because I mean, what you're saying here, I would envision maybe a 10-minute spot in our agenda and invite these people maybe one at a time.
Yep.
Like I wouldn't think we'd get a lot done if we had a whole bunch of them in during an EDC meeting, but if we had a specific 10-minute slot or something,
Yeah.
sure them that they won't be here all night.
I don't know if I think we should at least have two so they could at least have some back and forth. I think having one, like Dan maybe put on the spot, I don't know. I just feel like having a couple would probably be beneficial so we could kind of go back and forth and they don't feel compelled to like have to answer every single question and have a robust answer, right? So
Yeah.
I just feel like
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So let me toss this out to you guys and tell me what you think, because I've looked at this a few times and I hadn't really completely wrapped my head around how I think it could be most effective for you. But I'm wondering if the best way to approach this might not be to construct it as a survey, and that can be a hard copy or an online survey to distribute to all of the business owners in Thompson. Because, we're talking about whom would we like to invite, who do we really want the input from? But there could be people that we aren't thinking of who would love to participate. And then as a last question in the survey, include our schedule and say, and which of these would you be able to join us for a discussion? And maybe you'll get groups of people who don't normally interact, like the members of the Thompson Business Association interact with each other. What is it, monthly or bi-weekly? Monthly.
No, it's monthly.
Right. So, they're talking to each other monthly. But there are certainly business owners outside of that. I talk to Andrew Silverstone now and then. Oh, here comes Charlie. Andrew Silverstone now and then. But I've only spoken to Ken Loisel once. Right. And they have quite a relationship. And some of the by constructing it as a survey, I think that, Brian, if you and I sat down and really worked on these questions,
Sure.
we could get the kind of information that we wanted up front. But I do agree that having them join this commission as special guests could be super useful. You know, because that ongoing dialogue, I think that is a piece that does get lost, especially in a community where the businesses are not quote unquote forward facing, right? You can't just walk into somebody's store, right? You've got to reach out to contact them through other means in most, if you know, certainly not all cases, but in most cases.
Yeah.
And those are going to be the hardest people for us to reach too. So anyway, those are my thoughts after, you know, having heard you guys now bat this around in person, and having read your 2-pager a few times.
Yeah, so, you know, I think that's fine. We can definitely send it out. I totally agree that sometimes there's someone out there that will be more than willing to come down. And if we don't give them an opportunity to do that, or do not contact them, we never know, right? I mean, that just, it makes sense. So I just thought maybe having a few of them down to kind of maybe clean up the questions, maybe make the, you know, expand on the questions a little bit more and then send it out. Maybe that would be something.
Oh, I see what you're saying there. Yeah. Yeah. So in that case, I think, yes, you would want to target some of the more sophisticated players, maybe the
Yeah.
Andrews and the Kens.
Yeah. And listen, I think maybe it could be Ken. He wasn't there when I was down in Anya the last time, but I did speak with a few of them down there, and they were more than interested to help out for obvious reasons because they're part of the community. But you know, every time I speak with Dan, he always has something to say. So I feel like Dan would definitely steer us in the right direction and be a willing participant for sure. If you don't mind, if the group doesn't mind, I would like to send Ken and Dan an email and engage them and say, hey, maybe in the new year, you guys can come visit us and try to, you know, hone in on some of these questions. And then we can send out a more broad email and get the Thompson Business Association involved and then send it out to everybody and then get them to participate. What does everybody think about that?
I'd like to just add the survey aspect of it is key because I'm just relating back from my financial office that I was in. We would get so much feedback, just in general, sending it to everyone. We would get specific feedback on what was working, what isn't working. But I think in narrowing and cleaning up some of these by a couple key businesses is also a better way to kind of hone in on what you really want to get information from some of these businesses. What my other question is for Dan is how many active businesses are in the TBA?
32, I think, right now.
Yep.
We lost
And-
a few still from, coming back from COVID.
Yep.
When we just sent out the last round of invoices, we didn't get everybody to come back. So we're kind of working on that. And then we're also working on a lot of ways to make the business association better for the businesses so that we will attract more businesses.
Yep. And then the amount of businesses that are here in town that aren't in the TBA, like I'm just trying to think of ways to not cross sell, but like get exposure through TBA. Because I'm thinking of what they do in Putnam with the PBA, and they are on it.
Yeah.
With not cross-selling, but cross exposure from their Putnam business to the new businesses coming on, and all of the businesses seem to be participating in that. And they had a survey not that long ago in my financial office, which was in Pomfret. We were part of the PBA in Putnam because it was the group to be part of. So it's really kind of something to explore in what their model is.
Yeah.
And
I'm a member of the PBA also, and I
Yeah.
go to their meetings too, and like especially more lately now, so that I can observe what they're doing and try to learn from them. You know, they it seems like they have about 40 active members at every meeting that I'm at, 40 or 50 people maybe,
Yeah.
and they have like almost 200 members right now, and we have, you know, under 40 members, and we have you know, at best like 10 active members.
Yeah, because that my point was, like, if you had a lot of active members in TBA that you could tap into and go over, like, you're thinking on doing this survey and these are the questions, and it just might be a good way to get them involved too.
Yes.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just threw these questions down. There's no organization to them. I just was just kind of spilling some data out just to get the
Yeah.
juices flowing here. If you ask me, it would be, you know, a category and then questions in a different category and another set of questions.
I was just thinking the same thing,
You know?
Yeah.
Brian.
So
And, you know, even going from things like asking them about their own marketing and then pivoting in the very next section to the town's branding.
yeah,
And how, and Yacino sort of alluded to this earlier, how can the town's branding help you as a Thompson business, right? How can those things work together? Brian Yacino can't unmute. All right, let me see if I can unmute you.
Oh, I just did
Brian.
it. Never
Oh,
mind.
Okay.
It wasn't working.
Yeah,
I'm
sometimes it takes a minute. But yes, I was thinking exactly that. And essentially, you know, the survey is like turning a virtual page. Here's the section on your own practices. Here's the section on what Thompson is doing. Here's the section on the zoning regulations. But at the end, it also has to be tied back to, I think, in order for it to be perceived as valuable to the person taking the survey. Like, what does this mean to you? How can this enrich your own practice? You know, the TBA in some ways is a captive audience for us because we've got two members of the TBA right here who can distribute this
Yeah.
on paper in addition to sending the links. But, you know, it's very easy to get caught into whom you know, right? That's why I always go to Andrew. That's why I always go to, you know, to Dan, to, you know, a couple of the other people that I know. They are perspectives that I am comfortable with, right? And know that I can communicate with. Kai's, Randy Blackmer, these are the butlers, you know, on the ag side. I communicate with them a lot and I understand some of their priorities, but that's just a segment. So
sure.
What we really want to do is get everybody's perspective and find the common thread through all of those groups.
Yep. All right, so I think we should definitely continue to expand on this collectively, maybe categorize it a little bit more, clean it up, make sure it's clean and get it out of this format here that I got it in, which is kind of just very rough draft of just stuff. And then I'll reach out to Ken and Dan for like an introductory thing for maybe the January meeting and give them a heads up of what's coming their way. And then we'll bring it to the next level after that.
You know, with this conversation under our belts, I can probably also go in more to this draft that you provided, Santos, and try to tease it into a better format as well. Because like I say, you know, the couple times I've read it, I hadn't gelled around the direction I thought it was going to go, but this was very clarifying.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Okay, I don't have any more new business. I left most of our stuff in for progress reports. We're done with Sullivan and Lashane, right?
Aside from the fact that I still don't think they've invoiced us, but the work is complete.
Okay, so I'll take that one off for next agenda. I didn't know if we had anything else on the train wreck park.
The grant is submitted. As the members of this commission will recall, the Board of Selectmen did vote to set aside roughly 155,000 for me to use
Yeah.
as the match funding. I submitted that grant right before I left for vacation. What I understand is the process now is that CT Deep will review them in early December, right after the Thanksgiving holidays anyway. And then I believe they will either call for interviews or more information from their top tier candidates sometime in January, with an anticipated award before the end of, by sometime in December, with an anticipated award before the end of January. Sorry, I got my timeframes all mixed up there. Now, state programs often move a little later than they want them to, but that at least gives us a ballpark. And as I have said all along, you know, CT Deep is knee deep in this project. I mean, they've been part of the consulting group. They were waiting for the application. It certainly does not mean we have a 100% lock on the funding. It doesn't mean that we have 100% lock on 100% of the funding. You know, we asked for the maximum match amount, which was a 4-to-1. You know, we submitted 20% of the total estimated costs and, you know, asked for the other 80. By the time I finished with all the estimates and the writing and adding in some in-kind value from the Historical Society, I think we had about 200,000 in value, give or take. And so I asked for almost 800,000 to supplement that, you know, with estimates and timelines. We'll see. You know, at the very least, even if we don't get a penny, we have 155,000 and we will proceed with the next phase. Now, 155,000 won't get you as much as you think it will. But what it would almost certainly get would be the recreation of the historic turntable as the next step, which wouldn't necessarily have been the next step if circumstances hadn't favored it. In other words, those historically contemporaneous stones became available to the Historic Society. So that's going to be the next phase, whether we're doing the whole project or just another portion. I think that's fair to say. And that'll happen, you know, it'll at least start within the year, and then we'll see how far we can go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that turntable come alive.
Those stones are pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, the next item.
Quick note,
Yeah.
there's two things. First of all, I don't think the turntable is actually going to come alive. I don't think they want it to be able to turn because of liability things. However, it will still look like it did. The other thing is that
Well, I just meant the project itself, Charlie, so.
Okay. The other thing is that Tira alluded to it, but many of the decision makers on this have already been working on the project. So it's not coming at them cold. We have allies at the state in Deep and in Condot who are aware of this project, and some of them have been working on it with us. And that, I can't calculate how valuable that could be, but it might make the difference. So,
well, I'll tell you what we do have. Speaking of that, Charlie, is we have, I think it ended up being 8 letters of support. And those letters include from Joe Courtney's office, from NDDH, from TLGV, from the National Park Service, from our own first selectman, from a totally random resident of Woodstock, I can't remember who the other three were. Oh, I can tell you though. Give me one second, because that's something I can access. So in terms of showing support, it's hard to imagine that there could be many projects they're seeing that are going to have that kind of broad, multi-dimensional or multidisciplinary shows of support for. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Now I remember some of them. The Chamber of Commerce of Eastern Connecticut, Connecticut Humanities, essentially anybody who gave us money to do anything, right? So, and that's a lot of people. So I'm still very bullish on whether I think we're going to get funding. I do think we're going to get funding. Are we going to get $800,000? I don't know. That would be an amazing occurrence. And it is a worthy project, and a lot of people are interested in it. So we'll see. We'll see.
Cool. The next item, and this is to explain to Heather, this is website notes, and it was intended, it always turns into something else, but it was intended for our use when we go onto the website. If we see anything that's wrong or outdated, it's a standing item on the agenda so that our website doesn't get stale. Like having old members of EDC, you might notice that an old member is still on there, or something, anything that we see that could be corrected in the website. That was the original intention, even though it sometimes turns into general update news or whatever. So in this time around, I don't have any, I haven't scrolled around our website, so I haven't picked anything up this time. Know if anybody else has anything that should be updated or corrected. Guess not. Have we done anything with the 11th Village update? I forgot to talk to Mike Joyce about that when I saw him.
You
Kira.
did? Oh, so maybe you can give me
I
more of an
didn't
update.
talk to him.
Oh, you didn't? I'm sorry. Yeah,
I forgot, because we were engaged in this Pathways speaker series. I meant to bring it up and I didn't.
Yeah, the last communications I had were, I think, all stuff that I told you about at the last meeting. I mentioned to both the principal at the high school and to Melinda sort of my idea about looping in their business pathway kids. I have to get back to Mike. Dave Eddy cornered me at the train wreck park dedication and said he is still interested. We still have that money put aside. In all honesty, the real reason it's backburnered for me is because all that ARPA stuff and the train wreck park grant have been eating almost every second of my mental planning energy, in terms of those kinds of projects. So I am aware that I have to get back on that stick, because obviously, we've got some investment in that project and we want it to be successful. I really think the path does run through activating it for the student population to, learn entrepreneurial skills. And Heather, maybe this is some place where you could go back to Teague as a board member, because I've mentioned it to Ann as well. Like basic entrepreneurship for that constituency. Like there must be a group in Teague's clientele who maybe could start micro entrepreneurship businesses, used record sellers, consigners, I'm drawing blanks right now because
Yeah.
I'm tired, but you see where I'm going.
Yeah.
Because if we're not getting the activation the way we wanted it to, and there are multiple reasons for that, let's create a path that captures an audience that has no other opportunity and make it appear desirable through other means, right? And then eventually we can turn it back into that sort of income, sustaining income program for the 11th village itself. In the meantime, it's essentially a place that the town is going to sponsor for people to learn how to be retailers.
And if you want, I can follow up with Mike on this if,
I would super appreciate that.
yeah, it's no problem.
Oh, thank you.
Because I talked to him, well, we email a lot anyway, so I will do that. Okay, Tara, do you have anything on the fish sculptures?
Actually, I was just texting Sarah Furbush because she just texted me. Sarah and I started on Friday to carve the EPS foam blocks. They were unexpectedly delivered to my house on an 18-wheeler while I was on vacation. It's a good thing I was around. I have 8 2x2x4 solid EPS foam blocks. I bought a hot knife. Sarah and I started carving the first, base for the first one last Friday. I will tell you that the fumes are disgusting. They are horrible and disgusting, but it's going to work. It is going to work a lot better than what we started with at Community Day, which I knew it would. We still have to work out the logistics, but she and I can work it out sort of slowly and calmly, as opposed to trying to slapdash it together in a public event, which is fine. Beloved husband has actually been working on that metal armature still too, that the high school kids made, which God bless him for doing it. I'm going to try to use that at some point in some way, but that is not going to be the way that we build the bulk of them, for sure. I think it's going to be just me and Sarah carving foam fish during the cold months until we go back to stripping the labels off more nips in the nicer weather. Although I think she wants me to do a few more, but yeah, we have the money that we raised, we have the base materials, and we're just going to do them calmly. And if it has to be a slower process than we initially envisioned, I have no problem with that. I'd rather those be done correctly and durably. Yeah, like that. My cats love the foam blocks.
Really?
Yes, they love to lounge on them. Fortunately, they are not scratching them to pieces, or we would have to have words, but they just like to sit on them.
Oh.
So I have just one question. When these are done, are they only going to come out for special events for public viewing, or
Oh no, those puppies are going to be permanent.
Where
they
are
are
they?
they are
Don't tell-
intended. They are intended to be installed along the Riverwalk in Riverside Park.
Oh boy, okay.
And the bases are made of EPS foam, but they are going to be very durable. They're going to have, whatever the diameter of the steel pipes in them to pin them into the ground, into a quickcrete tube, and slide the thing on top. They're going to be the nips are going to be filled with colored cement or grout, and the bodies of the fish are going to be coated in fiberglass mesh and concrete. So these things aren't going anywhere once they're on the ground.
Good. Because if I'm like the pseudo town river walk inspector and garbage collector and closing of the shed door person that I've nominated myself to like oversee that whole park every day when I go down there. So I'm like, if you put something else down there, it's already, pardon my expression, a shit show some days when I go down there, the amount of glass and things that are there. So it sounds like they'll be pretty strong.
They should be very durable. Concrete is concrete. we're going to make sure that the nips themselves are epoxied in with boat epoxy. These things are not going to come apart on their own. Vandals are vandals, and you can't always do anything about them. Of course, the good
Yeah.
news about nips is we have an unending supply on the roads of Thompson.
Oh, I collected a bunch. I collected a bunch yesterday, so if you need
Yeah.
more.
No, I really don't need more, and certainly not right now. But yes, that's the update on Das Fisches.
Okay,
Nice.
so on the agenda, right, for next time?
Sure, why not?
Well, I mean, I can take it off.
Well, I'll just tell you that I carved more unless we magically get one done over the next month, but I don't think we're going to magically get one done over the next month. I don't think we're going to start assembling. I don't think we're going to do anything but carve and maybe fill bottles until the spring, because I can't do that inside my house. I've got to do that outside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be too cold to do that piece of it. So we'll just, over the cold months, carve the foam, which I'm telling you is a different kind of disgusting than washing the nips. Sarah and I kept having to trade that hot knife off because, she was breathing through her mouth. I was getting it in my eyes.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
This is what we do for art. Art will kill me, probably, literally, one day.
Well, as long as you finish your grant writing first.
Yeah. At least I know you care, Brian. That's it.
Yes, oh, definitely. Oh, okay, Brian Santos, I kept you on for a solar project in case you had anything.
Yeah, I do have updates. So things are progressing very nicely. The meeting minutes here, I guess the update is Connecticut Green Banks and a few building committee members are presenting at the next Board of Education meeting to move the solar project forward. It already has been approved by the building committee, and Amy St. Ange has already, once again, said that the selectmen are in favor of moving forward with this project. Now it's on to the Board of Education just to get them involved and let them know what is happening. One of the steps that was needed was to get our Inland Wetlands Commission to review where these solar panels were going to go, because they are in a wetlands area. It has been talked informally in the past years ago of the location. It wasn't met with any resistance by that department, but now we're confirming it because it seems like this is moving in a very positive direction. And for those that do not know where this is going, I will share my screen again and show you. So the system is going to be located right about here. Here's the end of the track. For those that understand or have a visual of it, there's a decline here, and then there's a lot of wetlands in here, but this is where the solar panels will go. It's southern facing, which is perfect. And the project, it's about 805 kilowatt system, which is very good. It will power about 85% of the school. These solar panels never are targeted to do 100%, because if you produce too much solar energy, the grid charges you for that. So we always target 15% under the actual rate. And approximate savings is listed here. So it's average about 33 grand a year for about 20 years. So it's roughly about $600 and something thousand. And I had done my own analysis years ago on this and presented it to a variety of people. And my analysis yielded the same results. So this is kind of just proving that point. So things are progressing very nicely with this project, and I'm hoping that it goes through smoothly with the next Board of Education meeting, So if you want to join in on that and hear it, the Connecticut Green Banks will be there as well, doing the same presentation that they've done now 3 times. You'll see this again. on that.
They're getting very good at it.
They have mastered this presentation, so that's where we're at, which is exciting. Been working on this a long time. So
Yeah,
It's a good thing for you on that, B, because it just would have died on the vine if you hadn't had the energy to keep pushing it. So you deserve
Thank
all
you.
credit.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's finally coming together. So that's the update on the solar.
okay. And that's it for the agenda, and we're up to comments by commission members.
I'll give an update on the track as well. The replacement of the track is moving to its next steps. So the geotechnical report was received by from Ty and Bond. I reviewed that at the building committee meeting last week. As expected, the subsurface conditions are very favorable. I was anticipating that. The last step there is to do the video of the existing drainage system, just to make sure that that is working properly, that there's no breaks in any of the lines. So we can confirm that none of that needs replacement. And I'm hoping that the next meeting, we have all of that data and able to move forward with maybe putting together some construction documents to actually bid out once that funding source becomes available. So I think we're making very good progress on replacing that very dated track as well.
Quick question. You said you're gonna check on, make sure that the drains work, and then they're gonna resurface it? Are they gonna be putting weight on it? Are they likely?
Oh, no,
to
no.
break old
So,
drains?
yeah, so Charlie, I just want to make sure I'm crossing the T and dotting the I's. So the first thing was to do a geotechnical study just to see what the subsurface conditions were from a soil standpoint. And
Yeah,
all of that looks very good. Now, we will still have to do like ripping up like 12 inches of that material, putting it back down in lifts, and then putting a new rubber surface on top of that. But I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that the drainage system that's below there, like 4 or 5 feet below, was still operating effectively. So don't need to replace it, right? So the only way to do that is to video it, send a camera down there and make sure everything is working properly. Now, in my visual inspection of it, it looks like it's working just fine. And Ty Bond drew up the drawings of all the inverts of all the piping. And it seems like it's working fine because there's really no water issues up at the track. But before we go putting down a possible $800,000 new track on a system that's broken, I don't want to have egg on my face, right? So
I agree.
we're
I'd
gonna
replace
check.
any pipes that were underneath it.
Exactly. So we're verifying all that. And then once that all is verified, we'll move on to the next step, which is designing the actual new system and track. And I've already spoke with Deb Spinelli about the new track layout and how many lanes and what it should look like, and where the the shot put thing is, and where the all the things that come along with track, right? So we're in conversations about that. So that's actually moving pretty nicely. Anyway, yep, that's my update on the track.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Any more commission member updates?
Well, of course, technically, I'm not a
Heather, you
commission
coming
member.
back?
I'm just adjacent, but
Yeah,
just for whatever it's worth, Amy and Orla and I are meeting tomorrow to sort of discuss the final details about how exactly we intend to leverage the ARPA funds into the DECD Connecticut Communities Challenge Grant. The notice of funding availability was published again a little bit before I went on vacation. I have a 2-page intent to apply letter due on the 3rd of December. So this is down to the nitty and the gritty now. what I had initially hoped, based on the webinar that they hosted over the summer, to sort of do a soft rollout on the program, was that everything that could possibly have been covered under ARPA would be covered under this grant. It isn't really, but I think I have charted out most of a path. I had initially hoped to be able to leverage about 2.6 of the 2.775 million into a grant request. I think I'm going to be able to propose just over $1 million in terms of what we can say we're using our funds for, and then saying to the state, so please give us this equivalent amount of money so we can extend these projects in this way. What I'm finding, and Janet Blanchette and Steve Lewis are sort of helping me brainstorm on this, but the reason I'm bringing it up to you guys too is just to see if there's anything that I'm missing that should be obvious. I'm finding that in terms of describing the match, I have to describe about $100,000 worth of project. And then in the request, between 50 and 70 of request, because there's this little balancing act that I have to do of things that are eligible under the grant guidelines versus what we've previously proposed. I wish I had brought the papers home with me. I know I'm not explaining this super well. For example, I am proposing that the town, in their $1.x million matching, will put between 700 and 750 into upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant. That was already voted on by the selectmen, right? So we know those funds are committed to it. Right now, I'm counting roughly $30,000 for architectural and landscape design for the 65 Main project that would come out of the town's ARPA. $40,000 to subgrant to Teague to administer a direct assistance program to homeowners in the downtown Mill Rehabilitation District for needed home repairs. So the purpose of that is to essentially give that downtown corridor a facelift. And then $75,000 based on a suggestion that Janet had, which would be to design the upgrades to the sidewalks on Main Street. All those things add up to about $900,000. I've got to come up with another 100. And then what I'm asking the state to provide us so far would be the 244 for the construction rehab of 65 that was based on Brian's estimate. Let's see if I can remember all these things without my papers in front of me. About 550 to put into that direct assistance program for homeowners that we're proposing. What is the next thing on that list? Oh, this is going to drive me nuts. I should have brought it home. Oh, and 150, well, the 157.2, that was the amount that we calculated for the wayfinding program, because that is shovel ready. We have the plan. So I'm describing these things to you to give a sense of what I'm aiming for here. The Connecticut Communities Challenge Grant is essentially a creative placemaking grant that is meant to improve economic outcomes with goals of like mobility improvements, essential infrastructure, public space improvements, adaptive reuse of buildings, potential for job creation. But they also want to award hard costs over soft costs. So that's why I have almost all the design stuff stuck in what I'm saying the town will fund, with the exception of the WPCA, which is both hard and soft costs. And then the money that we'd be requesting would be those hard costs: construction, implementation, fabrication, installation. So again, I got to come up with about 100 grand of what is the town going to pay for, and between 50 to 60 grand of what we're asking the state for to make the whole thing balance out, right? I have to have a minimum 1-to-1 match with a floor of $1 million. It's quite a, so I've got some ideas. But before I toss those out here, I want to hear what you guys might, just hearing this skeleton, think of that.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around some of that. I apologize if this is a dumb question. It started off as a.
It's not a dumb question, Brian, because
Yeah.
I described it terribly and I know it.
No, it started off as an ARPA funding source, right? And then you said it was going to go, you're trying to get this grant to extend those, I'll just call them programs that are in the ARPA.
Right.
But everything that you just listed, I don't think those are possible extensions of ARPA programs. They could be new items, but the end result is that, are you using the ARPA funds as what you just says as the $1 million floor?
Correct.
Okay.
Because
All right.
so here's the intent of the state, and this was obvious when they first published the notice that the grant was coming, because it was
Yep.
right around when everybody got their ARPA awards announced.
Yep.
They know that towns have this windfall. They want towns to do well.
Yep.
So the state wants to extend the reach of those
Yep.
ARPA funds.
Yeah, that totally
But
makes
it's not right. But it's not for everything that would have
Yep.
been covered under ARPA.
Yep.
Very close to, but not quite everything.
Yep.
The things that DECD wants to fund are things that have a specific set of goals. And like I said, there was like 6 of them. Essential infrastructure that will further development, adaptive reuse of existing buildings, mobility improvements,
Yep.
public space improvements, and there's 2 more, but you get the gist.
Yeah. So if you can do me and maybe this group a favor, you're meeting with Amy tomorrow. I would like to know all the items that are being assigned a dollar value utilizing ARPA funds. I'd like to see a copy of that. And then your extension list here that you just rattled off with Teague and 65 Main and various other very good ideas. I'd just like to see a copy of that when you're.
Yep.
when you guys are
I've
through.
got it back at the office. For some reason, I can't access anything except the internet this
Yeah.
evening. I've been having trouble with my email, but now I can't even get to my files, or I would have been able to pull it up on the
All right,
screen.
that's totally fine. Charlie, what's up, man?
A question though, didn't you begin by saying your meeting tomorrow is to explore how you can use the ARPA funds to leverage against other grants?
No,
So,
just into
no?
this grant, just into this grant.
Yeah, one grant.
okay,
Because this is the one that's immediate, on the horizon, and large.
Yeah. I'm just curious of that list because Tira, I'm not going to get into specifics right now. I've been asked to look at certain things by certain people, and I just like to see where these funding sources are coming from. So that's why I'm asking that question.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what questions were asked of you, B.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I mean, everything that's in my proposal well, I shouldn't say everything, virtually everything that's in the proposal that I'm going to be fleshing out for Amy and Orla tomorrow was in the report that I did over the summer, based on the public engagement and the Board of Finance meetings and the Board of Selectmen meetings. There are adjustments and alterations to it. And it brings in some things that we hadn't considered at that time because of the way the Board of Selectmen voted to allocate the funds at the end of August. There was that 500K in contingency, of which they've spent just under 170 to get the ambulances. So call it, 330 left, that was unassigned. So that unassigned 330 plus the money assigned to the WPCA gets me to that $1 million floor. but I still have gaps in what we think things will cost
Yeah, that's what I'm curious.
that I need to fill.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in too.
Yeah, but, and not just need to fill within the parameters of this grant.
Yep.
Right,
Mhm.
so it's been quite a logical puzzle. I cracked 90% of it today, finally, after scribbling things out all week long in combinations. Oh, we could do this. So I'll tell, if nobody has anything that particularly jumped to mind, I'll tell you the things that I am considering, that Janet and Steve Lewis are going to sort of help me cost out. On the match side, design for, we're doing the bump out for the Blaine Road intersection. I mean, that's being done probably early next year by our DPW. We have the design for the bump out, but that leaves an area that needs to be landscaped with LID, low impact development measures. And I proposed, because people use that as a fishing area, that we should in fact stage it as an area where people can go and fish recreationally, because they're doing it anyway. It may as well be a nice area that we've maintained.
Yeah, nice.
Swanson Park on the other end of that project could use a facelift. And then there has been some talk batted around between me and Amy and Leslie before she left about possibly considering design for a small permanent soundstage in Riverside Park. So any of those design soft costs, I would put in that 100,000, right? And then maybe some of that, particularly like the landscape stuff, could then be the hard cost expenditures on the ask side. But like I say, I'm bringing this to you guys because I think about this stuff all day, and I think I know that I've covered all the bases, but sometimes I miss something that should be staring me in the face.
Okay. Yeah, if you give me the list, I'd like to take just a peek at it too. That's all.
Yeah, I'll send it first thing.
Yep. You're muted, Lafredo.
You can figure it out, Brian. I know
I got
you can.
it. Screen moved. I just want to let everyone know we lost power again here, so I might be heading your way, or if this is just them fixing the power outage.
I can't believe none of you are coming back with some fabulous idea that I can steal from you.
I'm thinking. It's late.
Yeah,
It's not that late.
I'm tired. All right, next meeting, Christmas. You bringing the eggnog, Brett?
Bring it to where, Zoom?
Yeah, the Zoom. Are we doing the December 15th meeting? Are we doing that?
Yeah,
Why wouldn't
yeah, we
we?
are.
Oh,
Yeah,
listen,
unless people don't want to have one, I'm open to suggestion.
Zoom
Any
log.
Rid of, I'm always good.
listen to Terry. She's like, why not? Let's come on. We're having a meeting.
We're on Zoom, guys. We don't even have to leave our houses.
I know. We could have eggnog.
And yeah, didn't people do that during COVID? They had cocktail parties where everybody was just drinking alone, but on screens with
Yep.
their friends.
Yeah, I did that a few times actually. Yeah.
It's not the same, but.
And nobody has to
thing-
drive.
That's the
Yeah.
best part.
All
Yeah.
right, you convinced me.
Heather, Heather.
We'll have a meeting. Were you talking to me, Brian?
Oh, what?
I asked Heather if she had any comments
Oh,
and if she's coming back.
No, I'm just like absorbing everything.
That's what we're all doing.
Well,
Absorb
I
it,
think
and then
you're going to be. I think you're going to be just great.
I hope so. I hope to be able to add some value. So otherwise,
I've been saying
why
that for
bother?
11 years.
Everybody have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You as well.
Yeah.
Talk to you some
Our
other
next
time.
meeting is December 15th.
All right.
So yeah,
So-
happy Thanksgiving. If we're all set, I'll just call it at 7:45.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good night. Thank you.
See you guys.